For the first time in my life, I'm truly free to see the clear-cut forest for the poison sea, to see the waters occupy the shores of Jersey, and I feel alive.
Whoops. All right, back on Zencaster, because when we recorded with Zoom, the audio sounded like shit. So this is the first episode that we've had to record twice.
Yeah, what is it? I was allowed to distortion. You were quiet to distortion.
Well, no, because I was going through, and I was tired because we recorded it late, and I got to the point where I was like, I need to go to bed because I'm not going to make the right decision. I'm not going to upload it tonight. And then I woke up, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to re-record it. It's like you have that moment where if you like fucked up something, you're like, I just got to re-record it. Like I got to redo it.
There's that feeling where it's like, I can't fix this.
It's like, you know, at the back of your mind, you're like, I could totally just like pass this off, but no, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah, no matter how good Zoom is, having different channel audio is just such a good idea.
It's a very good idea, but we're still using Zoom to record the slides until I can figure out how to do it elsewise. If you know, please keep it a secret. Anyway, time for go around 2 of stupid climate engineering.
Ooh.
And the Chirac conflict zone will be hit by a blizzard that will make us look like this image from Snowpiercer here.
Is my mic still coming through?
Yes.
The hinge that holds the microphone up just broke, and my mic hinged downwards and bumped into the stand. I've got it up again, but that was
that
scary.
happened in one move. That was only one sound.
It was, what was it? The microphone unhinged. It went down, and that's the sound of the metal bar hitting the furthest spot it can go back.
Excellent. So, are you ready for what the Chirac conflict zone is in for this week?
Oh, we love it, yeah.
So, tomorrow, which is going to be Tuesday, the 1st of February, we're going to get probably a few inches of rain because it's going to rain all next afternoon. And then that night and for the next 48 hours, we're going to have blizzard condition snow.
Yeah, anywhere from 6 to 20 inches.
Okay. If you're typing right now, it's being picked up on the mic.
Oh, I see.
I need to figure out how to do audio scrubbing. Zoom does the audio scrubbing. Zencaster does not. So in the meanwhile, but we're going to be talking about stupid climate engineering, but we have news.
Mm-hmm.
And war in Europe, it got here so fast.
War in Europe, only a week away.
Only a week away. So the situation in the Ukraine doesn't appear to have gotten any better than when we made a joke about it last week. So much so, in fact, that they were butting heads at a UN Security Council meeting. Checking the news right now. The feminine urge to check the news on stream to see if World War III started.
Yeah, where were you when World War III started? I was filming a stupid podcast.
Where were you when World War III started? I was here.
Talking about limestone.
Limestone. Oh, you can't give that away. It's dramatic irony.
Oh no, spoilers for 10 minutes from now.
Oh no. Stephen Breyer is also retiring fucking finally. Yeah, it was time. It was time. He's old and he was starting to break precedent. He was doing the old person on the Supreme Court, which is like the dementia juice is kind of kicking in, so like they start to do stupid crap.
Yeah.
So that means Clarence Thomas is next.
That does. Yeah.
I could live with that.
That sounds good.
He kind of is of the opinion that people under 18 don't really have rights.
That's unfortunate, but I think the rest of it is pretty good. Biden appointing a black woman to the Supreme Court will be interesting to watch, mostly because the Senate will for sure be knocking it down.
Well, no, Democrats in the Senate are united on this.
Isn't it still Republican majority though?
No.
Really? Hold on.
It just doesn't look like that. It's 50-50. Kamala breaks a tie.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So that's why it's been. I'm surprised you didn't know this. That's why it's been. It just doesn't seem that way because Joe Manchin and Sinema aren't really Democrats.
Call
but
him the loud minority. Call him the very loud minority.
They do agree, fucking finally, on something, and it's that there should be a black woman in the Supreme Court. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna see if this happens faster, but probably not faster than what happened with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, where someone was literally like appointed the day after she was dead.
Congressional appointee speed run any percent.
Well, what was the Senate composition last term in season 116 of this freak show?
Oh man, that was, if I remember correctly, Republican Senate majority.
It was, but I want to know by how much.
Let me look.
So 116th. Senate majority was Republican.
Yeah, I mean,
Trump impeaching round 2. It was. Stop showing me the stupid pictures, Wikipedia. 52. Interesting. Yeah. There were 2 independents.
A very, very long time ago, people were independent.
Oh yeah. Ever look at those compositions that we looked at before with like the ideological differences of different Congresses? So like the most conservative Democrat was almost as conservative as the most conservative Republican.
Yeah, that
I was
what
like,
a nice time.
Those were the days. Now we don't have to worry about someone from Podunk, West Virginia determining if we're gonna die or if people, get child tax credits.
Oh my god.
It's the best system in the world, apparently.
The bar is
Anyway.
incredibly low.
It's very low. And then third item of news. A judge blocked Grandpa Joe's sale of a bunch of land to Exxon and BP for drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. So, yay. That was probably one of the most stupid things that Joe Biden has done so far.
That's going to be the one. That's going to be one of the ones that when Joe Biden is running for his second term, it's going to show up in every single campaign ad, and everyone's going to say, "Ooh, why did I forget about this?"
I don't think he's going to run for a second term.
He's probably going to turn to dust by then.
He'll be honestly, he'll be lucky if he makes it through this one.
Yeah.
Like, America can't do a president dying right now, and the right's gonna flip their shit if Kamala becomes president. So I think the best solution, the best thing that happens, is Biden runs out the clock and some young, a bit more centrist Democrat comes in.
It's in everyone's best interest for Biden to stay alive, as it is everyone's best interest for Trump to have stayed alive. Because if Trump had died somehow, some way during his term, then you would have had Pence, hoisting the reins of the entire United States.
Don't kid yourself. Pence was the one setting the agenda for Trump.
Yeah.
Trump was just loud. He didn't know what he was doing.
But I think that Democrats felt the same way about a Pence presidency, the same way that Republicans would feel about a Kamala presidency.
Yeah, we'll see. There's kind of, I think that the whole Trump thing where he's like hinting at running is more smoke than fire. I think for the most part, Republicans, for better or for worse, are done with him.
Yeah.
Now it's like people will want DeSantis or another kind of young person to run. And I mean, that's how it always should be. The president shouldn't be the nursing home job. That should be what the middle-aged politician does.
Yeah. The president, add age limits to everything, add term limits to everything.
Yes.
Make the Supreme Court either 30 or 35-year terms.
And have a bare minimum of educational standards for the people who decide if we go to war or not, please.
30 or 35-year terms, or maybe even 36-year terms, staggered 9, so there's one every 4 years.
Interesting.
It would work.
I'm kind of
president would
the
get
opinion.
at least one appointee.
Okay. Yeah, because then it's kind of like really unfair. It's like, do I get 3 picks or none?
Yeah.
We'll see. We will definitely see. But the goddamn news. Moving on. So, science is our friend, except when it's stupid. When is science stupid?
Science is stupid when stupid people think that science will make them smart, and then they make up ideas that are incredibly dumb, some of which we'll cover today, and ideas that are incredibly unprofitable, some of which we'll cover today.
So when I made the slides for this one, I found a article of The Guardian, which is literally just titled "Stupid Solutions to Climate Change," and then I found an article on CNN that was promising solutions to climate change. They were pretty much all the same.
It all depends. Yeah, promising
It was
solutions means you
they were
haven't looked
pretty
into
much
them yet.
they were pretty much all of the same ones, and I'm like, CNN, you clearly can't hide the fact that like someone like your sports writer or something got shoved on this article today.
Yeah. We love reading articles that were written by someone who knows nothing about that field.
Yes, and then you look at the comments and it's like our top video game writer, and I'm like, come on, man, people are forming their entire opinions about topics off of this.
Dude, people on Reddit are reading the title of your article, making their own opinion, and then scrolling past
Yes.
without ever opening the article.
No, they read the top comments. And of course it's like something really outlandish. Like, let's see what's at the front page of Reddit right now. It's okay. NSFW asked Reddit. I'm looking for an article. Oh, Sony buying Bungie for 36 billion. What the?
3.6 billion. And yes, that did happen.
They were doing so well. They were doing so well as independent.
Bungie is supposedly through Witch Queen and through the current Future 2 expansions after that, Lightfall and something else will not be interrupted by Bungie. Will not be interrupted by Sony. Although it has to be brought up, what does Sony gain from it?
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why does every Destiny 2 expansion either have light? It has to have light in it. It's something related to light. So it's either light or dark or some variation of that. And then some type of modifier that's like fall or like sunken or something like that.
Yeah, the last two are Shadowkeep and Beyond Light. It's because the whole lore behind Destiny is that there's this big god
Yeah, I
named the
know
Trevor,
the
and
light
he's
and
like
the
a
darkness.
techno god, and I mean it's the light, man. It's the power. That's like saying, hey, why does every Superman movie have the word super in it? Like he's a Superman. That's the whole shtick.
No, that's not my point. My point is that they're bad at naming things.
Does the name matter?
Destiny 2 peaked with Warmind. That is my final answer.
That's
I'm
just
going
not true.
home. It's true. What was the best Destiny 2 expansion?
Forsaken.
Wrong.
You didn't play Forsaken.
Yes, I did. Forsaken was the last one that I like hardcore played. Like middle school me and early high school me, so early COVID, played a reprehensible amount of Destiny 2. Like
You're
my
the type of
grades
dude who have
freshman.
liked Spire of Stars.
Yes, I played pretty much every raid obsessively in the vanilla. I don't know. I just got busy with school. It's a sad day for America, and it got way too grindy, even by my standards.
It's very grindy. They're bringing up the light floor for Witch Queen, which means that everyone will be at the same level again.
Oh, of course, that's what they love doing. So everyone feels special that the number is bigger.
Mm-mm.
The real
it's
ones
all the old
remember
players
when
that left for a year and a half can come back.
Yeah, it's the real ones will remember when the light cap was 310.
Yeah.
And you started out at 100. No, I'm sorry, you started out at 10. You people. Anyway, our first solution to climate change that CNN determines is viable is carbon capture. I hate it so much. So this is the knight in shining armor for the fossil fuel industry, and it's like
capture.
This is the front pages, literally the front pages of Saudi Aramco, the second biggest market cap, no, third, BP, ExxonMobil, and what's that one? Yeah, it's Chevron. So these carbon, they love carbon capture because it's like, it's fine. We can still do what we're doing. It doesn't matter. It's okay.
It's three big reasons why it's not okay. First of all, drop in the bucket. The plant in the bottom middle currently displaces enough carbon to account for
In
3 seconds of our
in
current
one
fossil
year,
fuel
it
usage.
displaces enough carbon to do 3 seconds of humanity's usage.
It's
So like,
it's
it's
awful.
bad.
And then
It,
on top of that, it's taking money away from actual real sustainable policy. And on top of that, it's making people think they're doing something when they're
and
not.
I love this the corporate Memphis carbon capture thing they've got going on here. It looks so clean. Like, the dirty air comes in with the solar powered operation. They take out the clean water that you can use. And then the CO2 is taken out into renewable fuels, concrete, food and beverage. I don't get how they make it into renewable fuels because it's already oxygenated carbon, so theoretically it can't combust. And anyway, then the clean dry air goes out. So, movie called Don't Look Up. I know you haven't watched it, but every one of you needs to watch it. It is a genius movie. I'm gonna explain this in a bit more detail than I did in the Lost episode that will be released on Patreon, where the Patreon subscription fee is 1 cent. Oh, interesting factoid about Patreon. Did you know that there are only 4 people on the customer support team for Patreon?
The whole website?
The entirety of Patreon has only 4 customer support members.
That's Is that a good thing? Is that a bad how much
Well, I
how
guess they're
backed
doing
up is the Patreon customer support as we speak?
it's all furry stuff, like not much. I don't It's not really that complicated. And I mean, do you want to know what the funnier part is?
What?
My sister's boyfriend's friend is one of them.
Oh my god.
So one of the 4 members, I am 3 degrees of separation from one of the 4 Patreon customer service members. I imagine it being like some type of like Vanguard thing where it's like the council
They just have
and they
every
have to,
individual
like, they
customer
appoint a new
appeal.
one. Yeah, Patreon is a weird place. It's only fans for people who draw furry art.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Don't Look Up is an unapologetic like satirical piece about climate change. So it starts out where this university student and her professor find out that there's a comet that's going to hit the earth and kill everyone in 6 months, and they bring out a plan to the president, who is literally just it's a satire take on Trump, and the president doesn't believe them. No one believes them, and once the president does believe them, midterms are in 2 weeks, so they don't want to do it because like we can't release this news 2 weeks before midterms, otherwise it's going to freak people out and we're going to lose power. So then they try to get on TV. No one on TV believes them. No one's taking them seriously. And then once the president finally does believe them, and they do send up a mission, a rich guy halts the mission to deflect the comet because if wait a minute, if we let the comet get super close to Earth and then break it into small pieces with my mission, then we can harvest all the golden stuff on the asteroid. So they do that, and then of course, like the rest of the world's like, holy shit, the U.S. has lost their marbles. We need to launch a mission of our own. The rich companies like sabotage all those missions, so the asteroid's about to hit Earth, and of course, what I love is the title of the movie, Don't Look Up. The president and their party, they try to they try to spread the message of don't look up, don't live in fear, don't look up because the other party is looking down their noses at you. And then it gets to the point where the asteroid gets so big in the sky that the the zealots on the don't look up side are like, oh my god, you guys lied to us. and then they send out their mission to try to break up the asteroid. It fails at the last minute, and everyone dies.
Oh, we love
it's a
allegories.
it's a really good movie, and it also has a really funny ending. So the rich guy planned that it wasn't going to work. He knew that is okay. This is really risky. It's probably not going to work. So when it's like the asteroid's about to hit Earth, him and the president and a bunch of other old rich people get on like a spaceship and get put in hypersleep and go to like a distant planet. And they get out on the distant planet and they all get eaten by the animals there. So good ending overall.
Love it. We love it.
It's so well done. It's they got some like pretty A-list actors in there though. So like Leonardo DiCaprio is the university professor. Jennifer Lawrence is like the student who finds out that the comet's coming. I don't know who any of these actors are, but I recognize their names. Yeah, carbon capture. It's stupid. It's eventually, I don't know, eventually useful at the point where we need to clean up excess carbon in the atmosphere. But it being touted as the golden ticket to avoid any responsibility is it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
This one, iron filings and lime. I know on the last recording you like to talk about this one, so go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing about the ocean right now is that due to higher presence of carbon in the atmosphere, we are getting a phenomenon where instead of the carbonate in the ocean that shellfish and shelled creatures use to make their shells, which are made of calcium carbonate, that carbonate's turning into carbonic acid when it bonds to the carbon dioxide, which is causing two big things. It's preventing shelled creatures from making their shells, which is kind of a big deal because that threatens the population and well-being of any and all shelled fish. But it also creates a more acidic environment in the ocean, which kills off fish and makes just an incredibly awful ecosystem. And some people have thought that, oh, what if we put lime, which makes acidic solutions basic, into the ocean? Wouldn't that just fix everything? 3 reasons why that doesn't work. First of all, you're not addressing the issue. Where is the acidity in the ocean coming from? Which means that you'd have to do that constantly, forever. It's like in Futurama when they just drop giant blocks of ice into the ocean. And then on top of that, you're not addressing the fact that you'd have to spend insane amounts of money and time and effort and resources mining out lime, putting it in the ocean, and rinsing and repeating. And on top of that, you're causing insane amounts of runoff because you're just tearing up everywhere and getting rid of other forested ecosystems to take out excessive amounts of lime.
Lime. You're polluting the ocean. You're turning the ocean into basically a huge pit of phytoplankton that is killing anything else that's in the ocean. And yeah, sure, it's going to produce oxygen, but it's going to produce way too much oxygen.
That's
to the
the
point
thing,
where people can't live. And even if you do this on a localized scale, if you're doing it on a localized scale, it doesn't even matter. You're just polluting the ocean in that particular spot. And
that's another thing. We don't know how big the ocean is. We don't know how this is going to impact it.
The ocean is so complicated that we don't even understand it. We know more about outer space than we do the bottom of the ocean, which is kind of terrifying. I hate swimming in the ocean. I hate it. The ocean's scary.
I'm okay with it, but the ocean in general is not something I'm very familiar with.
Swimming in the ocean is terrifying to me.
I've heard it's very cold.
Well, have you ever swum in the ocean?
Once, but it was like in March, so that doesn't count.
Okay. Where was it?
It was in Oregon.
Oh.
So that's cold.
That's pretty cold. Because when I was biking on the coast this summer, it was still somewhere in Oregon, and I've swam on the Atlantic Ocean before, but a long time ago. And I just remember standing on the beach and being like, there's a good 10,000 miles of just water between here and the next piece of land. And then just, of course, all my friends were like jumping in there, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
It's also like 50 degrees, so like,
Oh my god, how do people swim in that weather?
they they're crazy is the answer.
Insanity.
Another thing about the ocean that we've determined that we're gonna do to rescue ourselves from climate change is to just pump water on the bottom of the ocean's cold, right? Let's pump all that cold water up to the surface of the ocean.
Do we know what
And
that would do?
no, we don't know what that would do. Well, no, we do know what that would do in these little teeny tiny marine and simulator environments with the little teeny tiny simulated sea creatures. This is where these solutions are being tested. And at the end of the day, you don't know what it's going to do once you do this to the entire ocean.
This sample size, if the ocean was one, those little itty bitty tanks with tiny sponges in them are like 1 times 10 to the negative like 20th. These things are so incredibly unrepresentative of the ocean.
And even so, billions of different microclimates over the surface of the ocean that change by the hour. It's you have no idea how the ocean will even respond to this. And even if you said, okay, yeah, this is totally going to work, you're pumping up tens of thousands of cubic miles of water up what is effectively a big mountain in the middle of the ocean.
And okay, two things. Either it doesn't affect ocean current, and that's if it doesn't affect ocean current, great. But you just made a localized area of cold water that the fish there and the life there are definitely not ready for. Or it does affect ocean current, and you don't know what'll happen.
Yeah, and it's like we talked about this on the sea level rise episode, but changing the ocean's composition or, God forbid, temperature is disastrous for pretty much everything living there, and especially for ocean currents. Because if ocean currents change, all the weather on the earth changes. You don't know how. Could be good, could be bad.
You don't
Most
know.
likely it's going to be insane. Yeah, another bad idea, but certainly not as bad as this one. Big wispy clouds in the atmosphere. They reflect sunlight. Let's put so many wispy cirrus clouds in the upper atmosphere that we can't grow food. But global warming's not a problem. It'll be nice and frigid. This is literally what Snowpiercer was.
I was scrolling through the slides because I was about to say this was the biggest cope of them all, and then I'm like, second biggest, third biggest,
Shit,
fifth biggest.
I can't hear you. My audio disconnected.
And I don't understand who even thinks of this stuff.
And it's like part of me is like, okay, what if we used all of these solutions in tandem, like a little bit of one each, so that, well, not the ones that are coming up, but these more reasonable ones, what if we used a little bit each to kind of like have a dynamic set of solutions against climate change? But there's only one solution that's guaranteed to work and isn't just this batshit insane with so many unintended consequences. Reduce carbon dioxide emissions. It's that easy, people.
It's like all the buildings and offices and companies during the pandemic that were wondering how they couldn't hire people even though there was a mass influx of people looking for jobs in the economy, and everyone said, oh hey, why don't you just pay us more? And all those companies just kind of went,
like, no.
Oh, did you hear that?
No, we'll do literally anything besides that.
It's as easy as pay your workers, and it's as easy as stopping using all of your fossil fuels.
This is the second stupidest one on the slide deck. So this this was on the CNN article. This one was like, okay, so we know that wildfires kind of blot out the sun, right? What if we set off a bunch of nukes on the top of volcanoes, had the volcanoes erupt such that we would kick so much dirt and ash into the atmosphere that it would blot out the sun, causing 3 billion deaths and starvation, causing the climate to basically be unlivable for decades. But hey, it won't be hot. This one's so like I don't even know how you could even cope with this one because like the CNN article was like they'll be discussing this at the UN climate summit, and I'm like, no, they won't. No one's discussing this. Probably the only reason why there hasn't been a massive nuclear exchanges between between companies not yet, countries with like without the smallest hesitation is that nukes affect everyone.
Yeah.
When you kick up that much dust into the atmosphere, it affects the global food supply, such that countries have a moral obligation to not set off nukes.
One small consolation from talking about this that I'd like to bring up right now. Um, Republican Louis Gohmert of Texas, who is one of the people that was incredibly behind literally moving the moon.
I need to go to there.
He's going to give up his seat in Congress to run for Texas Attorney General.
Oh, that's good.
So, best case scenario, obviously he loses and he gave up his seat in Congress. Worst case scenario, he's out of the Senate.
Well, isn't he not a senator? Hold on, I just need to. Yes, oy vey. So Republican Louis Gohmert of Texas, this gentleman pictured here,
Is he a senator?
said, "Is he?"
I don't know.
It says representative,
Congressman, representative of Texas.
Okay, yeah, I wrote down rep in the slides, so that's what I assumed. But anyway, he asked the U.S. Forest Service at a congressional hearing if the director of NASA himself apparently told Louis Gohmert that the moon has a large effect on the Earth's climate, which it does. And he didn't elaborate on that, so like I can't help but wonder, did he like sit in on like the director of NASA was like giving like a talk to like a elementary school, and he like mentioned the moon, and like Louis was like furiously writing down notes like mention that to the Forest Service, and he asked the Forest Service if they had the ability and tool set to move the moon such that they could climate change could be brought under control. Move the moon. Move the moon. I mean, I assumed he was going to get the Jewish space laser to do that.
Yeah. I don't understand. You want to move the moon, but you don't want to stop using your oil, which will run out in 40 years.
So the Jewish space laser, at least according to Majority Taylor Greene, is meant to start wildfires to clear land for high-speed rail. I see no reason why you couldn't just use the same laser to blow up the moon.
Can you repeat that sentence?
Oh, so back in 2020, during wildfire season, Majority Taylor Greene was caught with a Facebook rant that started the Jewish space laser meme, but it was that there's a Jewish space laser that is cutting down, that they're setting wildfires in California with it, such that they can have high-speed rail, which can then be controlled by Jewish holding companies.
We live in the worst timeline. Timeline.
It's the darkest timeline. This woman has a vote in if we enter World War III or not. She has a voice that is exponentially more powerful than you or I pretty much ever will to determining if we die or not in World War III.
We hate it.
She's also kind of popular in her district, but it is like backwoods of Georgia, so like, who cares?
Yeah.
But anyway, that is the situation with the Jewish space laser. Do you happen to know what it's doing now?
I actually don't.
It's probably changed orbit for Australian wildfire season, right?
Maybe. Could be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you can't tell us. I understand. Moving on.
Oh my god. Yeah, let me just hold on. I'm gonna hack into the mainframe and directly just impact your credit score for that remark.
You're on the phone with George Soros.
I've got the bogs on speed dial.
So there's two sides to this one about trees. Either being super stupid or not super stupid about where you plant trees, right? So trees, we love them. They absorb carbon, and they absorb carbon for many, many years. How about we flood the entire Sahara with basically the Red Sea in desalinated water, put a bunch of algae there, and then a bunch of trees grow there. That sound good?
Yeah. 6 questions.
Yep.
What do you do with all the brine from desalinating all that water? What do
Don't worry
you
about it.
do with the fact that you just created a giant forest and you're about to make a desert somewhere else on the earth and you don't know where?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You're gonna say don't worry about it to all these questions, aren't you?
Yes, because it's a Silicon Valley startup.
Oh, we love our dog food delivery companies.
I'm thinking of that Top Gear episode, and it's like it's cool because I've got a Jag. Have you seen that?
I have not. I've never seen any
Okay,
episode of
I
Top
need
Gear,
to
but
pull
I
up
do
the
love
script.
the zany characters. They're hardly people. It's like
The,
it's such. I refuse to believe that's what they're actually like in real life. That
okay,
being said, they're
so
very funny.
I need to find this. It's really good. Anyway, but it's not important. But the thing is, these Silicon Valley companies will come up with literally anything to stop climate change besides lobbying to reduce emissions, because where are they getting their funding? Where's their capital coming from?
Investors that don't know any better.
Investors that either don't know any better or have a vested interest in distracting people from the main issue at hand. Um, yeah, it's such a red herring to plant trees in the middle of the desert, because I'm just looking at this map of North Africa. Where there are trees, I see rivers and different geographic features to supply water. The desert is just the desert. There's no rivers there. So let's say you do put all that water there, it's going to evaporate in like 2 years.
Yeah.
And you'll be right back where you started. The Sahara isn't really expanding. It's just that people are cutting down the trees along the border. So one of the main efforts right now to stop desertification of the land is to plant like very strong tree species at the border of the Sahara, such that you kind of limit how much the land is being turned into desert. So that's cool, except you need to keep continuously supplying them with water until the ecosystem can change, such that you don't need to keep supplying them with water. And two, you need to make sure that people aren't just going to come and cut them down again.
Yeah.
And what really sucks is that with climate change, we do have, and we always have had, all of the cards in our hand. In fact, a model came out recently for where to plant about 0.9 billion acres of trees to effectively negate the last 40 years of carbon dioxide emissions, which is about 2/3 of all of the carbon dioxide emissions we've ever emitted. It just comes down to, are those trees actually going to get planted or not? The best
Yeah.
time to plant a forest was 20 years ago. Second best time is now. Plant
We
trees,
love that
people.
quote. We love that quote.
Yes. Who said that?
I think it might be attributed to anonymous. Get ready for some loud keyboard typing.
If it's attributed to anonymous, then it's probably like some like Facebook person who did like a really big think.
Chinese
like-
proverb.
Chinese pride. Is it of the G variety?
Nope. Every single quote I can find lists it as Chinese proverb, which means that a ghostwriter made it up about 10 or 15 years ago,
Yeah,
posted it onto one website, people shared it around on Facebook, and other people put other inspirational images behind it.
We will never forget when a Twitter bot made the IRA's threat against Margaret Thatcher a inspirational Twitter quote, which is,
Yeah.
we only need to be lucky once, you need to be lucky every time. Anyway. Yeah. Plant trees, people. This is an interesting map of global tree cover.
It is, yeah.
The U.S. is super interesting because like Appalachia is almost 100% tree cover. Amazon rainforest, Congo rainforest, Oceania is pretty much all trees.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's surprising,
Anyway,
especially considering how dense some of those countries still are.
yeah, I mean, I guess so. Deforestation in the Amazon is very much hard to see because it's so thin. Like they're so thin. Like if you look at a map of the Amazon and zoom in, you'll see like very small veins of deforested land. So it comes out to be quite a lot. It's just hard to see on a broad satellite view. Like it's not as explicit as the Congo rainforest where you can very easily see.
Yeah.
So like I go over the Congo and it's very obvious like where the cities are because it creeps into the forest. But anyway, this is probably the most practical one, but cloud seeding. This doesn't so much as prevent climate change, but if you're at the point where it literally will not rain no matter what you do, you can seed clouds with iodide particles, which act as things for water vapor to condensate against and create snow or rain. This was used a lot in the Los Angeles area during the like big 2010s drought in California. Used kind of sparingly around the U.S. now, but because it doesn't usually get that desperate, but it's something we might be seeing a bit more of, especially as these storms get more severe.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's not too interesting because this one's actually kind of a good idea. But this is the lesson. The lesson is the problem is people seem to think that economic growth can go on forever at an exponential rate with absolutely no consequences. It can't. Stop telling yourself you can. It can't.
It's just not going to.
It has to hit a ceiling at some point, and that ceiling is going to come soon, whether we like it or not. Whether we do it ourselves and make it a gradual one, or whether we don't have a choice and it absolutely flatlines. That's our choice to make. The cards always have and always will be in our hands.
Yeah.
And also, stop playing God. Like the Earth and the planet and the climate is so complicated, comes up with trillions of variables that are continuously changing.
It's
what we
says
do
something
know
about
is that
how variable everything is, that it's nearly impossible to predict the weather more than a handful of days in advance.
Yeah, like we don't know if we're gonna have school canceled for pretty much the rest of the week.
Ugh. Anywhere in between 6 to 20 inches of snow.
That was probably the stupidest one. It's like, how can you not tell me if there's going to be more than 6 or 20?
Isn't this like
the storm system is coming from the south, and every time a storm system comes from the south, it hits the lake and it just says nah. So when a storm comes from the south, it's either we get hit or not at all. Like we don't get partially hit. It just depends if it goes far enough north, which it might.
It's not a in between 6 and 20, it's 6 or 20.
Wait, it's 6 or 20?
No. I'm just talking about if it hits the ocean and it says nah and dumps immediately.
Well, we'll see, because next week we're going to be talking about the Yangtze River, China's funniest water project.
Yeah.
Oh, Monday night recording. Yeah, what are we shouting out?
Shout out to hopefully 20 inches of snow. Yes. I'd love it. I know everyone I know would love it.
Shout out to these energy chews that I stole from Lifetime Fitness.
Oh, a brand.
So, Honey Stinger, right? So, I get invited to very few nice places because people know exactly how I act in them. For example, I've been to one country club and probably will only ever go to one. My aunt and uncle belong to a really nice one in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. Right? So, and my cousins and I, we love our mischief. So we go to this country club for Easter brunch, right? And of course I hate it. I hate fancy country clubs. And I keep going up to the waffle chef, the custom waffle person who and I ask him, these waffles are really good. Can you give me the recipe? And of course, it's some 20-year-old, and he's like, I don't know the recipe. And then so I got each of my cousins, and there's 6 of us, to do that same thing. To just go up and say, these waffles are really good. Can I have the recipe? And then my grandma did it too. So then the head chef comes out of the kitchen with a bag of the industrial food supply waffle mix. It's a 10-pound bag, and just puts it on our table and leaves.
That's the best.
I have that bag as a trophy. It's
love
actually
that
really
story.
good.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Anyway, I went to a Lifetime Fitness because I got invited by a family friend, and we just kind of hung out there, and they had energy chews in a bag, like a bucket on towards the entrance. I took so many. I took a good 10 packs. They didn't tell me no.
If you've got good food or good drinks out, especially if it's a big event, more than 40 or 50 people, I'm just
on your back. The point of contention is how they act. Where you draw the line will set you free. The debate is over.